So on the daily time frame, though, also pointing towards short-term pullback, we have this trend strength indicator rolling over into red, and we have seen these come down a bit and then bounce, or zigzag around a bit and then bounce, and that's fine. We want to see some recovery on this to give us more strength for a bigger push higher. But look at this back here, just revisiting. We had, let me turn on the ERI. When these do align, which they are on the weekly time frame, that's when the magic can happen, when daily, weekly align, and this is something we've been going over many times. But just so you know next time, in case I say, hey guys, ERI, TSI, signal, RSI Pro, bullish divergence, time to buy, and a green buy block, you know, if you're not paying attention, just look at this for a second. When we see those five align, it's time to buy. There's no nervousness. There's no, I don't know about this time. We have to take the emotion out. These are the times to buy. The times to sell are when we don't have alignment and we start seeing red block zones. And on the daily basis, you know, we're looking for some profit taking, profit protection now. However, we have this money flow block, so that I think generally we see that those price levels are protected. Let me just back out here a bit. See this big money flow block back in November of 2024. Inside of, there's more buyer support here. See how they're protecting their position. They're willing to buy more here. Okay, so I don't think this is a fake out. We have our weekly confirmation candle. We're going higher, but point is, these money flow boxes with the buy zone of limit buy orders, these generally hold. Why is that? Because these buyers both see the big money that came in and they're loading up at that level, but also these big buyers, let's say this is the IBIT, let's say it's Michael Sayer, who knows where it is, who it is, they will protect those levels. So we're, again, pullbacks to the 89K, 90K time to buy, because at that point, hopefully we see a cycle down, we see another ERI on the daily, and when the weekly and daily align, it's go time. So that's TLDR of this class. So we're a little oversold on the daily. Let's jump to the weekly, and of course, this looks much more bullish. So could we have a couple down days? Absolutely. We are in a bit of a sell block here on the weekly, so a retrace down a little bit again, that 89, 90K is fine, but this is going to lead. We have the trend strength indicator. That's a momentum indicator. We don't have to see the charts to know where this is going. Back in here was September of 2023. Remember that? We were just kicking off the Retire Rich class and buying AI coins. We did very, very well with that. Those were the signals. Here, here, here. Go time. Okay, and then prior to that, you can see back in here was right at the market lows back in December of 2022, Jan of 2023, when I was saying time to get into these markets. So our signals need to be our North Star, and don't try to second guess things. Don't try to read the news. Maybe this, maybe that, and anything else. So that's why, you know, all the cycle theory stuff and Camel and One, all of that, hey, that's great, but these will trump all of it. We can look for those cycles to switch and be ready for it, but we want to see our signals confirmed there. So we have a little bit of a bearish candle here on this weekly short term, but week is only half over yet. So again, I would be surprised if we didn't come down and retest 89, 90K. Maybe put in a red candle, because we've had 3 weekly candles in a row. And generally that's when we see some profit taking. Going back here, 3 green candles, red candle, some mix up, and then boom, right? 4 green candles, red candle, small one, boom, bigger push higher. And so we can see that over and over again, sometimes 4 candles. But you know, it's rare that we see 5, 6, 7, 8 green weekly candles. It did happen last cycle leading into the high, and then of course things rolled over a bit. So actually what would be good for us is if we pull back here this week into the weekend and put in a closing candle around that 90K level, a little red candle, or anywhere in this range, and then next week as we go into the May 5th, May 7 window for the weekly daily cycle low, that's something I did buy the Camel indicator signal thing. The problem is it doesn't really forecast. It'll tell you when it's happening, and we'll have to see, but that's the time frame. So all of this is fitting together, okay? And this is all my own research, just sort of blended in with looking and listening here and there. There are some people trying to get clicks on YouTube saying, well, but there's a problem with the hash ribbons and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not seeing it. And I stick to my guns on these things. So with that in mind, any questions? Let's jump over to something else here. We will look at the total market cap, but overall bullishish. But we've come up quite a ways. Time for a refresher and some consolidation. So looking at, I'm not going to get into the Sol Bitcoin or the other pairs, not the time for it. Total market cap. So we have been looking at that lately. Lots of red overhead, kind of rhymes, not intentionally, but look at all that sell pressure. Now that is, the total market cap, of course, is Bitcoin and Ethereum. So a lot of this is Ethereum. And when we go to the total 2 and total 3, we see less sell pressure, but we can see all these buyers in here and buyers in here that got faked out on these pumps. This is who's looking to sell there to break even. Now, the problem here on the daily of the total market cap, this leads me to believe Bitcoin will lead, normally happens in the bull run, rejecting at the 200-week SMA. Not so good. So we will probably see this pullback in this region, kind of like Bitcoin, and then push higher, slowly chopping through this. But it's looking a little less certain. That's why I'm being very selective on the altcoins. If you've got some old shitcoins and things from last cycle, these are not going to likely fare well. Maybe later when Bitcoin has its big run and hits its top, that's when we generally have 30 days of altcoin mania, because people with their Bitcoin profits will start buying up altcoins, meme coins, etc. So having a strong look at that. While we're here, let's set an alert and put that over 3.1 trillion as the price here. Let's just say 3.15 trillion, because that's going to tell us what? It's going to tell us that we have 3.15 T. Hopefully this works. We've taken out a lot of the this sell block, right? So that takes out the majority of that sell block. That's what we want to watch for. And I'm hoping you guys can hear me, because you guys all good audio. Thank you, Myrene. So that's what we're watching there. Let's jump over to total market cap. So excluding Bitcoin, still have a lot of sellers there. So who is that? Well, we can kind of surmise that if we go to total 3, removing Ethereum, it's not as bad, right? So that's telling me a lot of that sell pressure is Ethereum. So I don't know. Now total 3 is still below that 200 SMA, and this old line here, prior resistance, support, flipped as resistance, resistance, resistance. Now generally the third or fifth attempt is the one that goes, and I think I'm going to call that the first, the second, the third. We're rejecting there. So altcoins are going to be a while. We might need to retest a few times. This may chop around a bit. So we want to be careful with these altcoins for now, although there's some that are looking pretty good. DeFi, also a lot of sell pressure up ahead, and this downtrending channel not looking so good. We'll have to take another close look at Ondo Finance. I think Ondo is pretty much the only one I want to look at DeFi right now. And but look, if we come down here, then that's the time to load up on DeFi, Lido, Ondo, maybe a couple others like Aave. So it's looking like it's going to roll over near term. I would say maybe that's a clue to get out of some of the alts, sell half. And I would also say, though, if we come back down to 64 right in this range, then that would be, all right, I can't do it in the order block detector. It's a little more confusing. So that would be a time, if I do a sell alert crossing down 64.5 billion, and makes it, we've become so immune to these big numbers, by the way. It's crazy, right? $75 billion. But this would be a great buy spot for DeFi, okay? Why? It's in our buy and accumulation zone. All right, so I think we covered that fairly well. Let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance, still running higher. And even though Bitcoin is kind of coming down a bit, again, sell resistance, has it been higher than these levels? It sure has. But it's also been a level where Bitcoin dominance started to reject and come back down. So, this is just going to take another week or so to break through. But 66% is this is where it's a good time while things are quiet to start setting alerts. So I'm going to put that right at 66.4%, and I'm going to say BTC. Well, I already have that in there, breakout. Bitcoin. So that's when we're kind of into that parabolic rise and things can really go much higher. And so I was going to put text on there. We don't really need to do that. We have it in the alert, but keep an eye on that, you guys. You should be doing that. And if you don't have a pad of paper right next to you making notes, you really should be, because when we get off the class, whether you're watching live or on the recording, immediately you're going to forget immediately half what I just told you guys, especially any coin picks that we might have. Sol dominance tried to get back above here, rejecting. So Sol looking a little bit weak here. Hopefully, if it comes down, puts in a higher low, and doesn't lose the 21 and 50 EMA there. Well below its 200-day SMA. ETH dominance as well, of course, not looking great at all. Now, here's a little concerning. We want to watch still USDT dominance, money flow coming back into Tether dominance. I have that other chart set up that we will look at. And in terms of the Bitcoin CME gap, we also have a small gap here to fill. So that tells me price is likely to come down a bit and in that 90K region. So guys, it's going to come down to the 90K region. There you go. I'll move this little magnet up. These things to act as magnets, as we know. ETH futures and on the CME also. So we had this gap. We came up and filled that gap here. But now there's a new smaller one. So ETH will probably come down around 1700. But really, in honesty, I think it probably comes down to 1500, maybe 1000 again. That's doesn't have much interest right now. ALI had a nice little pop yesterday, right into a sell block and sold off. So these small micro caps just not going to do much. This was a fake out, and we have to be careful with those. Hey, this is Brett from Moonstream. If you'd like to learn more about our pro trading signals or our live classes every Wednesday or our Retire Rich program, go over to moonstream.io/start.